Getting ready to buy or sell a home in 30, 60, or 90 days? Then check out BundleSelect.com to find out how you could save 20% or more on your entire transaction. Save on real estate, lending, and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. Bundle Select's hand-picked team of experts will compete for your business, so you'll save thousands of dollars by bundling all of these services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. By bundling services like real estate, lending, and title, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Act now, and this new model could save you money on your move, lower your interest rate, or cover your closing costs. Visit BundleSelect.com. That's BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with the national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker license number 004666902.
Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Kuchera, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Kuchera.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jack Russo. I'm the managing partner at Computer Law Group. I'm so lucky today because Joe took a day off and said, how would you like to moderate the show? And then my luck completely eclipsed even that opportunity because I got a successful entrepreneur who I've known for many years, Steve King, to come in and tell us more about his startup for the podcast that we're doing today for Real Estate Radio Live. So, Steve, welcome. How have you been?
Thank you, Jack. I'm great.
Great. So tell us more about your recent events, because you've started a new company that you're calling UberConnectForce, and more about it, it's at UberConnectForce.com.
Yeah, right. So we started this company as a way to package up outbound sales machine and sales and marketing machine for small businesses of various different kinds. So technology startups, financial services, insurance, real estate, all of those kinds of small companies that don't have the ability or the skills or the money to build and manage a sales and marketing organization.
And I noticed that your website at UberConnectForce.com says there's some automation aspect. What is that?
We leveraged a bunch of advanced technologies around all of the various different touch points that a customer engages with in today's customer journey. And typically there are a dozen or so different kinds of channels that customers engage with in the internet age, so everything from, telephone calls, conversations, to social media touch points, to email, to text messaging. Customers do a lot of research on the web before they make any kind of a short list decision on the kinds of products or services that they're looking for. And we have combined a lot of these technologies together in a way that allows us to get through to a prospect and deliver them to you as a sales representative for your company to present your story.
Can you actually imagine, I know if Joe were here, he would say, tell me more about how, say, a real estate broker or a lending representative or someone in the real estate delivery chain might use your services.
Well, one of the things that we also produce for our customers are customized content, digital content. So either in the form of an ebook or a white paper or a video. So we spend the first week of an engagement sitting down with our customer and working through the messaging, developing the sales playbook. If they've already figured out what their messaging is and we help them refine that, we do the conversion of that into some sort of digital content that they can use to distribute to customers. Because our belief is that if a salesperson, which would be us in this case, is doing continual touch points with prospects, it's always much more effective if that touch point includes something that's helpful, not simply, hi, this is Steve over here at XYZ Company. I just thought I'd touch base with you this week. Well, nobody wants to be touched base with, but if Steve says, hey, I got this terrific article that I found on such and so, or we've got this new service that I want you to take a look at, just,
right.
And we do that multiple ways. We have a very specific set of sequencing that manages the distribution of those touch points over the course of a period of several weeks. I mean, it takes 2 to 3 months to get a customer sort of into the short list of live prospects that you're actually going to end up selling to.
Tell me more when you talk about how you do it, because everyone's business. Like, I'll just take the law firm, and I know our law firm has used you, and I've been amazed by things you've been able to accomplish as quickly as you have. But every firm, even every different law firm, has a different customer journey, has a different way of attracting clients, has a different way of getting to the point of having a conversation or a meeting.
Right.
How do you facilitate that, and what are the steps that it takes to get there?
Well,
You've done it amazingly quickly for our firm.
Yeah, that's a fair question, and it's not like we're trying to become experts in your particular specialty or field in the course of a week. What we're trying to do is to figure out what the initial messaging is at that sort of the tip of the spear to develop that curiosity about what it is that your firm does that's different, better, more effectively than your competitors, for example, so that level of interest will carry forward into a conversation with you so that you can present the goodness of your offering.
So let's take an entrepreneur. Let's take like a company that comes into our office to get started. They don't have a sales force yet. They think they have the beginning of a product. We help them with the intellectual property. We help them with the patents, the copyrights, the trademarks. We help them get some foothold in believing that they're going to have some defenses to some larger companies that might attack the space because they see something that no one else sees, but they don't know anything about selling. They really don't. I mean, they literally say, can you plug me into someone that can help me with sales, that can do something? How do you engage with a new startup like that? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. So there are lots of technologies available that both accelerate the sales process and enhance the sales process. So there are technologies that use AI to create highly personalized emails. Those are available. You could go out and select one of those. There are technologies that can create content directly from your website so that you don't have to sit down and write something yourself. Mm-hmm. We use the world's best telephone technology, which is a company called Connect and Sell, which is right down the road here, that can produce 10 times the amount of live conversations that you can have with your prospects in a fraction of the time that you could by sitting down and doing all those dials. I think if you think about the metrics, it takes about 6,250 telephone dials just to get to 25 meetings, and meetings meaning a telephone meeting with a prospect. No one answers their phone anymore, right? So this is a very difficult time to try to figure out how to do outreach to your prospect base. So we take all of that off of the table for you. We've integrated the best of the breed in every one of these technologies. We put them all together. We cover every one of those touch points, and we do it in a sequenced way so that there's a cadence to the outreach. So over a period of a week to 2 weeks, we touch your prospect maybe 7 to 8 times through these various, social media touches. We use tools that go through LinkedIn, for example. So we leave very compelling LinkedIn messages combined with email messages, combined with an actual telephone call where we there's a human aspect of what we do. So we actually have a very highly trained team of sales development reps that take these calls that are also developed through Connect and Sell, and they develop them offshore using an offshore team to actually do this dialing. And then it goes through a technology that can actually transfer the call in less than 200 milliseconds. So by the time that the person being called is midway through saying, hello, this is Steve, you've already got that caller, you being our sales development reps.
So that's quite an advance.
It's a phenomenal advance, and their ability to do that, they do 5 million calls a month.
I'm reminded, I was smiling as you were talking because I don't know if you remember that Will Smith film, Pursuit of Happiness, where he's kind of the down and out, broke and otherwise unemployed individual, and he gets an opportunity to work at an investment firm, a stock trading firm. Of course, the firm is no longer in business, but he's literally got a call sheet. And he's dialing. I don't know if people remember the dialing part of dialing a ordinary telephone.
Yeah, you used to have rotary dials.
We remember it because we're old enough to, but the audience that's on Facebook may laugh saying, what, dial phone? I don't even remember it having push buttons on the physical, what's called the POTS line, the ordinary
the
telephone
BlackBerry
line.
phones.
The ordinary type of phone. And he's just struggling his way through what you might say is the 6,000 plus dials that he has to make to get to the 25 interesting calls, which he finally gets through a few of those, and he starts getting some clients, and his life changes. Yeah. So you're outsourcing that without using a robot or a robocall. You're using actual operators who can make an actual effective call.
Well, then there's two levels of the operator, right? There's the offshore operator, and the reason why it has to be a human being is because the human being has to be able to tell the difference between a voicemail and an actual live voice, because we don't leave voicemails. Mm-hmm. There are services that leave voicemails. Right. We don't believe in voicemails. Yes. We believe in live conversations.
Yes.
So when there's that human being offshore determines that it's an actual live voice, that's when the call is transferred. Yes. Then our guys pick up that call. Yes. It flips up on their CRM display. It says, this is, Joe Lucas over at Nestle. Okay. And you say, hey, Joe, it's great to talk to you. Let me tell you just in a minute or so what we're doing, if that's something of interest to you. And so what our guys do in that sequence of call there is to qualify that prospect, and then so Joe might say, yeah, you know what, I'm not interested, or hey, you know what, yeah, actually we're actually looking at that area right now, and it's something we might be interested in, and so sure, let's set me up with your whatever, CTO, CFO, CRO, whomever you're going to talk about, why your product and service is something that Joe wants to hear about. We're not trying to sell the product or service. We're trying to make sure that Joe is got budget, got pain, is looking at a solution that you offer as a prospect.
So this is where you would say there's some leverage that people who are trying to make sales early in the small business's existence can outsource. And how do the numbers compare, say, to the average sales rep who's hard to find because they're fairly expensive? I mean, I know sales reps that make more than some CEOs, literally, at some of these enterprise software companies. How do the numbers compare when you start doing this outsourcing? Do you use less of that talent? Can you use a different mix of that talent?
The easiest way to think about that is that the average sales rep today, sitting down and doing either dials or sending out emails or doing social media touches.
Not a good use of their time, right?
Well, they do 50 a day. Actually, if you looked at the sales metrics from Aberdeen or from the Bridge Group, they say 46. But let's say 50 a day. We do 400 a day. Right. Wow. So that's the equivalent of 8 of those guys sitting down there, doing that work. And we're able to do 400 a day because we've automated the processes for highly personalized emails, which the prospect thinks, my God, it must have come from a human being. We use AI robotics that, crawl the web, they crawl social media sites, they look for instances that they can convert to a personalized message, like a recent award you received or a job change that you made or your promotion that you had or what have you. Then they convert that into an email message that's very personalized. If you're sitting there trying to do that as a human sales rep every day, that's incredibly time-consuming. You're doing that web scouring. You're doing the social media site crawling. You've got to compose the message. Most people can't write. Right? I mean, it's not a skill anymore. Yes. And so we're able to do all that stuff. And then we've got this offshore group that's with this telephone technology that's generating thousands and thousands and thousands of calls throughout the day.
So when you look at who would be some of your potential customers? Obviously, we as a law firm believe what you're saying, and we get leads all the time from this show, from other Facebook, from LinkedIn, and we funnel those, and then they go off to your lead team, and we get really the qualification that these folks really want to engage with a lawyer. It saves time, and lawyers, frankly, don't like to do outbound calling.
Sure.
They think it's beneath them. They want a scheduled appointment.
Sure.
And I would assume that real estate brokers and title companies and a number of other professionals feel the same way. Is there some value equation that you say, well, the transaction should justify a number in this range to justify using the outsourced approach? Or do you say, no, really, almost anything can use this approach?
Anything can use the approach. You know, our typical model is at 400 sales activities per day for a fixed price. That's a fraction of the cost of hiring a sales rep, for example. But we look at ROI, if you just do it in terms of volume, right? Compare 400 to 50. I mean, that's 8 times, right? And then because we're doing it so fast, right, if you think about how long what if your message isn't really resonating with the market? Well, it would take you, 12 weeks of 50 sales activities a day to learn that your message isn't resonating with the market. Use us. 3 days later, it's like, wait a minute, let me tell you, your messaging, isn't really the best it could be. And
so it sharpens it. So we have to take a break, and let me just say, you're the CEO. You've got a new startup, UberConnectForce.com. We so believed in it that we've become a customer. We think other lawyers will eventually become a customer. People can reach you you have an 800 number, right? 888-938-2968.
Right.
And Steve or S. King at UberConnectForce.com.
Right.
So we'll take a break. Thank you.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Getting ready to buy or sell a home in 30, 60, or 90 days? Then check out BundleSelect.com to find out how you could save 20% or more on your entire transaction. Save on real estate, lending, and title. With BundleSelect.com, technology and a personal concierge are at your service to save you time and money. Bundle Select's hand-picked team of experts will compete for your business, so you'll save thousands of dollars by bundling all of these services. BundleSelect.com gives you all the control, including using your own realtor. I'm Joe Kuchera with Real Estate Radio Live, and I have been on the radio educating consumers for years. By bundling services like real estate, lending, and title, you could save tens of thousands of dollars. Act now, and this new model could save you money on your move, lower your interest rate, or cover your closing costs. Visit BundleSelect.com. That's BundleSelect.com.
The estimated minimum savings are based on a comparison with a national average. Individual results may vary, and the estimated savings are not guaranteed. Bundle Select Inc. is a licensed real estate broker. California Bureau of Real Estate Broker license number 004666902.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Kuchera.
Okay, we're back on, and those of you on Facebook know that we're subbing in for Joe. Don't worry, he's still alive, he's still well, he's probably golfing, it's a beautiful day out. He asked me to come in. I said I would do it, and I was lucky enough to have Steve King, a CEO of a recent startup that we've helped, UberConnectForce.com, which he's telling the story, and we were talking over the break about the fact that business schools don't teach people how to sell, nor generally do any colleges, frankly.
No. Nobody likes to sell.
I mean, it's almost like a bad word that you're selling. I mean, this notion of persuasion, I like to say in law school, they teach you how to analyze a case, but they don't actually teach you how to tell a persuasive story. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of lawyers that are excellent lawyers, but if you ask them, so what's the story? Can you encapsulate that into 20 seconds? They look at you like, are you crazy? I've got a 25-page brief on this. I can't do that. But the best advocates, the best people at trial, in 20 seconds, they can explain the rest of the case that might take 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There's an art to that.
Sure.
That's a real value add.
Sure.
You're doing some of that because it must take a lot of digging into what is the value proposition for this particular law firm, this accounting firm, this real estate firm, this lending firm, this title firm. All those professionals, they all have stories.
Right, and
they differentiate, right?
Well, we think we're pretty good at marketing. I mean, we're good at messaging. We got a team of creatives that is outstanding, and we're able to sort of the whole idea here is not to develop a technical paper on why your law firm has got that great specialty in IP or whatever, but to create curiosity, to make it different and better, right, than your competitors, right? Everything's storytelling at the end of the day. As you said, even a trial lawyer is a storyteller.
Well, if a trial lawyer isn't a storyteller, they probably aren't a trial lawyer, or they're not a successful trial lawyer.
Right.
And it's amazing how even though trial lawyers who didn't do that well in law school, I was talking about business school, but law school as well, some of them have done exceptionally well as trial lawyers because they simplified the story in a way that everyone gets.
Right.
And what I was amazed, and I'll give you a compliment, is I know some people in our office turned over to you like a pile of stuff, a brochure and a handbook and a bunch of ways in which we think we differentiate. And, of course, you had our website. And you built a ton of new material that everyone looked at and said, wow, who did that and how fast did they do that? And that's amazing. And how did you accomplish it? Because we didn't spend more than a couple of hours talking in sort of interview format about, well, what does Computer Law Group do? How has it done it in Silicon Valley for the last now going on what seems like 4 decades? I mean, it's a little less than that, but it's a long time. And you were able to synthesize a lot of data.
Yeah, and what we're trying to do is create the beginning of kind of a mini branding process, right? Where we're going to begin to establish brand authority for you, and then brand awareness, right? So branding isn't about a logo, it's about a story. It's about, and then what we're trying to understand immediately is what it is that makes you different, what it is that makes you better than your competitors, and that we want to encapsulate that uniqueness into a very crisp, clean, simple story that we can immediately start to tell. It gets that curiosity going. Now, ultimately, you're going to have to go in and explain why your intellectual property defense and prosecution or whatever your deal happens to be is better and what you've had success doing and so forth and so on. We're simply trying to create that initial brand authority for you so that you have a platform on which to
So it's pretty sophisticated stuff because you're both building materials that will draw in new clients and maybe even existing clients when they see it, generate new leads, and then you're actually scheduling the calls using an automation system that makes sure those leads are harvested in a smart way. Because I think where lawyers fall down on the job, maybe all professionals, is someone calls in, it's a constant refrain, no one got back to me. No one got back to me for a day. I think, in fact, Donald Trump, in something I saw today, said something weird like, if someone I called didn't get back to me within a day, I would write them off. Mm-hmm. Like, that would not be someone I would ever use. And he was critical of, I think, something Comey said in some interview with him, and it's repeated by Comey in the recent stuff that's being published. But the point that he has is he's old school. You can like him, you can hate him, you can be indifferent about him, but he's old school. If you don't get back to him, it's disrespectful. So having someone who actually gets back to actually say, I'll schedule the call for Mr. Russo or schedule the call for one of the other lawyers in our offices, that's a huge positive thing. Yeah, even that alone. It's not just disrespectful. It's also a demonstration of your skill or lack of skill as a representative for your company, right? And so in addition to being respectful, you want to demonstrate that you're efficient, that you're disciplined, that you're ready to execute, right? And by waiting 2 or 3 days, and and it's not unique to law firms. I've been in the high technology business for like 120 years. Right? No, you haven't, but you have that much experience for sure. And every high tech firm I know
this is a combination of inbound and outbound selling problem,
Yes.
right? So we've talked about outbound selling so far.
Right.
Inbound leads also aren't very useful if they aren't acted on really immediately, and I mean by within a couple hours. So the longer an inbound lead goes stale, the tougher it is for that person to even remember,
Right.
I did what? I
Right.
contacted you? I
Right.
don't remember contacting
Exactly.
you. Or you go to trade shows and you've got the fish bowl and you get all these cards dumped in there.
Right.
And then, what happens in larger companies, those leads go into marketing and they get entered into the CRM system, right? And that takes some time. It takes a long time. By the time the sales guy gets it, it's like a day later.
Right.
A day is a long time,
Right.
so. Our ability on the inbound side works exactly the same way. So
Right.
those leads come in, we're on them in the same kind of efficient, rapid process that we do
Right.
the outbound selling as well.
And so what a lot of entrepreneurs, and we're really now, I think Rainier will correct me, but I think we're at the 10th seminar, and we've talked about you've created this business, you've gotten the technology mix right, you've gotten your own marketing materials right, you're probably eating your own dog food in terms of going out there and using this system to generate leads, to do follow-up, to have conversations, which are mostly by phone. Sometimes you might have a meeting, but by and large these days, I think Joe said on the last show, it's a funny thing that all these real estate people, including lending and title people, have these beautiful buildings. People don't even want to come to them anymore. They literally, a couple of shows ago, earlier this week, Joe was like, why are people paying for this huge infrastructure when the service that they're being provided is fundamentally a mobile-oriented service where the location of the building and its prowess and its skyscraper nature is kind of irrelevant to the delivery. The delivery model is how efficient are you in solving the customer's problem, which is typically very immediate, typically requires a real sense of trust, and typically means if you haven't called back quickly, you're not going to garner that trust.
Right.
And that's like lesson 101, I think, in all of business, and yet lots of people think, oh, I'll just send an email back, even when the person said, here's my phone number, please call me back. Mm-hmm. And they think, well, I'll just send an email back and say, please explain your case to me so I can evaluate it. That's not the way to do it.
That's right.
That's crazy.
And no one wants to get that email.
That's crazy because you have to put yourself in the shoes of that client that thinks the world is ending. They just got sued. I had this case today, this earlier this week, but I of course didn't get to the phone call right away. Shame on me. And I called the guy back. He said, "Yeah, I've talked to a few other lawyers, and I wish you would have called me sooner. You're obviously the more qualified guy, but frankly, I've already wired the retainer."
Word money. Yeah.
And of course, I said to the staff in my office, "This is the way it is in this world where everything is a much faster pace." I remember when I was a kid, God, it seems like so long ago, but you used to be able to respond to a letter in a week. You'd respond to a fax maybe in 3 days. Now, email that doesn't get responded within 2 or 3 hours, or a phone call that doesn't get responded the same day or maybe the next morning, you're just toast.
Yeah. Well, there's so much noise. There's so much noise, right? I mean, every how many emails do you get? The average executive gets 200 to 400 emails a day, right?
No. The funny part I should tell the people that are out there is every time I get an email from someone who's trying to buy my trust, I forward the email to Steve saying, I think this is a potential client for you, Steve, because this person doesn't realize that they'd be better off getting a phone meeting or some real trusting scenario set up as opposed to firing lots of emails at me. Because the truth is I'm not going to respond to those emails, and we're not going to have a conversation. There's not going to be trust. Therefore, there's not going to be a transaction. Now, that has to be managed correctly and has to be done correctly, but it can be done. And when it is done correctly, I think there is the potential for a very long-term client, which is really what law firms should be after. Clients that you look back and say, boy, like Joe Kuchera has been a client of the firm in one rendition or another for probably over 25 years.
Yeah.
And you have been a client of the firm in one form or another for over 15 years.
Yeah, so that's why the multi-channel process is so important in that, because what you're trying to do is establish a relationship. You don't do that with a phone call. You don't do it with an email. You certainly don't do it with an email. You don't do it with a text message. You don't do it with social media text. A lot of people are, big on, the LinkedIn Navigator tool. I know sales guys that just do nothing all day long but LinkedIn Navigator. Well, that's easy and it's lazy and it doesn't produce a result.
Well, you have some actual statistics you should talk about, because I've seen some of your spreadsheets beyond the 6,000 dials convert. There's actually some metrics that you have to take this client or customer down the path of, because it might be more than one phone meeting that's scheduled that leads to another phone meeting and a follow-up and other activity where the client is evaluating, do you know what you're talking about? Yeah. Can you deliver the service? Do you have the time to do it? Are your prices reasonable? Am I going to get value for my money? Am I going to be satisfied? Are you going to provide references? Are there other people I should talk to? How do I compare you against a bigger law firm or a smaller law firm? And the funny story I'll tell on this, and then you can comment, is recently I had a conversation with a partner at a big law firm. Both will remain nameless. But they said, yeah, we finally realized at a big firm that we have to get better at initial client interaction. So we hired a video professional to come in and videotape the way we interact with people
to prove that
we're not screaming at them, that we're being empathetic, that we have some EQ, because lawyers can have a terrible reputation of telling clients, well, that was pretty stupid. Yeah, I would have done this differently. And it's all negative. And clients, they probably do have to hear some of this, but most of them want to hear, what's the solution?
Right.
I know I'm in a problem. I know there's some quicksand. I know that it feels like I'm, sinking deeper and deeper into this problem, but don't tell me how stupid I was to jump into this, pool of quicksand. Tell me how I'm going to get out of it.
Right.
Yeah. So, that's an important aspect to the delivery of the service, and the quality of the initial contact probably dictates, what's the right saying? There's no way to make up for a bad first impression.
Sure, right.
You only get one shot to make a good first impression.
Right,
Pretty much that's the deal.
And that's why the people component of this is so important. The guys that are on our team that are actually making that initial contact, that initial voice-to-voice call, right, that initial relationship too. They understand how to do this. They're very, very good at it. So, you typically, why would
most lawyers.
Well, I was going to say, why would you try to do that yourself? Right. It's as you said earlier, it's an art. And there's a bunch of science underneath it, as we've talked about these emerging technologies and so forth that we leverage. But there's an art to developing a relationship.
So I think I've gone over everything, Steve. Let's just summarize by saying, obviously, what you have is for more than just lawyers. It's really for anyone and everyone that are doing professional services and selling, or even selling anything, enterprise softwares, enterprise hardware, or maybe even any type of transaction that's not kind of an Amazon type commodity.
Anything of value, because our contention is you don't sell things of value over the internet. It does not happen. You can enhance stuff and with all those social media touches and email and all the rest of that. But if you're going to sell something of value, you have to have a conversation with a buyer, and you have to have established trust, and you have to establish authority in the space. And that buyer has to believe that your solution makes sense for his or her problem. So, and again, that's why this conflation of people and process and technology is so important to the outcome for what we do. If you're selling cell phones or you're selling a bottle of water or something, right, this is probably not the right thing for you to do. You need to make a determination about what's your customer acquisition cost today. What is the customer life of the contract value going to be? So, if you're selling mattresses, for example, you're going to sell a $1,200 mattress. You're probably going to sell one of those every 5 to 10 years for that customer, right? So you have to figure out some other stuff to sell in addition to that to make sense.
But you have a point that we'll wrap up on. You can use this even with existing customers to refresh the fact that you're in business, you're there to serve them. you're willing to have a phone call about something that you offer. So
Sure.
that's a big plus.
Sure.
So we're out of time, but this has been fantastic. And I'm Jack Russo from Computer Law Group. I've been lucky enough to have Steve King, the CEO of a startup called UberConnectForce. He can be contacted at UberConnectForce.com. The toll-free number is 888-938-2968. It's Steve at UberConnectForce.com or sking@UberConnectForce.com. I'm Jack Russo. I'm at jrusso@computerlaw.com, 650-327-9800. If you have questions, you can send them in via email, via Facebook. I think Steve has been kind enough to give us some of his time this afternoon. I'm sure he'll give more time to people that are interested in learning more about what he offers. Thanks, Steve. Thanks for coming.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at RERadiolive.com.